Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum dear students. The current session focuses on choosing words to be learned in an English language learning program. I hope the session would give you an idea in understanding choosing the words that are to be learned in an English language program and how it has certain impacts. Well, my dear students, frequency plays a central role in this regard. Frequency has its impact on language acquisition, on language processing, and on language use. Well, language processor is tuned to input frequency because language users are sensitive to the frequencies of linguistic events in their experiences. So, whatsoever happens in language users' daily life, the input that comes in the form of linguistic events, the learner is sensitive in terms of language processing to this input that comes more frequently or that comes less frequently. The words or word families that they would be exposed to more frequently, of course their learning and retaining would be easier as compared to those that would be they would be exposed to less frequently. So frequency is a decisive, albeit not the only. Of course, this is not the only one, but a very important factor indicating which L1 words are likely to be learned and when. Some words are acquired early on in child's life, so milk, bottle, dog, etc. These are the words that an L1 learner would learn in the general context of early life as an infant. Others may be acquired later in life, for example, internet, university, marriage, etc. Many words, however, may never be acquired, used, or ever encountered by even highly educated L1 users. For example, there are certain terms they are not related, they don't feel related to, that come from those professions or those vocations or those fields of life that they don't have any exposure to. So these would be the low frequency words. For example, dactylian or tachyphagia. Or if you in your context, if you think of the names, for example, of various diseases, etc., so one may not learn these vocabulary items ever. Frequency of occurrence should be the guiding force in language teachers and course designers' decisions when it comes to L2 learners as well. According to Nation 2006, the greatest variation in vocabulary is likely to occur in the first 1,000 word families, which cover around 80 and 83% of both the written and the spoken texts respectively. So, the inventory of the first 1,000 word family words, depending upon how much of those words are learnt by an L2 user, the performance in both the written and the spoken texts would depend upon that. Similarly, the most frequent 1,000 word families in the BNC were also found to cover over 85% of the words in 88 television programs. Now, these findings demonstrate the value of the high frequency words, that the more is the frequency of a word, the more would be the input, the better would be the chances of learning it, and the more would be again the chances of retaining it. Thus, they make learning the first 1,000 word families of primary importance in any English language learning program. On the contrary, the second list of 1,000 word families, according to Nation 2006, were found to account only for around 9 to 6% of written and spoken language respectively. So 9% in written and 6% in spoken, while combined the fourth and the fifth lists of 1,000 words were found to provide only 3% coverage of written and 2% coverage of the spoken texts. So the high frequency words in these lists, that are the 1,000 words in the first word family list, they are the most crucial in enabling any user of L2 to use language effectively, both in the written and the spoken contexts. Language teachers and course designers' responsibility is what then? Their responsibility is to choose in a principled way, in a controlled way, which words should be learned and when should these be learned. Well, there are certain challenges related to that. For example, unlike vocabulary of L1 learning, the vocabulary of L2 learning rates are very slow and very, very uneven. What is the reason? As I said earlier, the input is for a very little time, that is only in the classroom, and even, the time that is given to the teaching of vocabulary is very less. The sheer task may appear daunting. There is simply too much to learn for an L2 learner as well. An educated native speaker knows 20,000 word families, while an educated L2 speaker's vocabulary ranges from 8,000 to 9,000 words only. Words differ vastly in their frequency and coverage.